video, we'll see how I have created the donation plugin in WordPress. So now you see we have an image and a supporting text and a paragraph. And if I wish to pay 10 rupees, I can donate. But for the testing purpose, I'll make it 1 rupee and click on donate button. Once I click on donate button, it will ask me for my details. So I'm going to name it. So let me just give a vague name. Let's say Superman, and he is paying 1 rupee. Now the Razorpay will open up, and I'll be using my phone to scan the QR code. And now I have paid. Now you see the notification on the screen saying that it is confirming payment, and there is the payment successful message from the Razorpay. And once the payment is successful, you will see a alert message saying that donation successful. Once you click on OK, the page will get refreshed, and the one who has donated those information will be saved in the form of CPT. So you see on the sidebar there is a donation menu. Once you click on it, you will see all the people who has donated. Recently I have donated 1 rupee from the name of Superman, and the amount, the phone number that he has given on the pop-up, and the email address and the payment ID. So this is required to check on the Razorpay account. Once you get into Razorpay account, you have to match this, whether this payment has been made on the Razorpay account or not. If it matches, then the person has genuinely donated the account. So this is how I have created the donation plugin. So I have used a pop-up, I have used Razorpay integration, and I have used custom post type to display the pop-up details. So these are the 3 features that we are going to cover. So these are the things that we are going to learn. We will be using shortcode. Let me show the shortcode as well. So now image, heading, text, widget, and then we have a shortcode. So this is the shortcode that I have used over here, and that shortcode helps us to convert it into a filter. We have a minimum of 0 and a max of 10,000, and donate button. Once I click on donate button, you will see the pop-up. So this pop-up is coming from Bootstrap pop-up, and then we have Razorpay integration. So once I click on proceed to pay, you will see a Razorpay pop-up. So again, this is coming from Razorpay.js. I'll help you to understand how to integrate Razorpay with this plugin, and then once someone has donated, you will find the details on the menu. So this is called custom post type menu. So I have created a dedicated custom post type for this, and once I click on custom post type, you will find the list table. So this is called WP list table. It has all the features which the WordPress would have. So if you want to filter by months, that's possible. If you want to edit or delete these, it's again possible. If you want to search by any name, it comes with this as well. This searchable input field, and the important thing is this payment ID. So you have to match it with the Razorpay. You have to log in into the Razorpay dashboard, and you need to look for the transaction tab. You'll find it on the sidebar, just how it's in the donation. You find a transaction. Once you click on transaction, you have to copy this and use Ctrl F and paste it on the page, and it will help you to match the payment ID, and then you can confirm that this guy has paid the so and so amount. So that's how the process is going to be. So this is for the end user. This is how the end user would be making use of this plugin and get the benefit. Now let's talk from the point of developer. So for that, first and foremostly, you need an active Razorpay account. If you have an active Razorpay account, it will give you a secret and a key. You need to get secret and key. There are so many videos, and even you can use ChatGPT to get the secret and key. We don't need secret for this plugin. You just need key, a Razorpay key. once you have the account created, to get Razorpay key, I think you need to get the KYC done, or else you can run it on a test mode. So for test mode, no real money would be used. It's just about what you it's just deal it as a CRUD operation. Like there is no real money involved. It will just it will just help you use a pop-up. It will just make use of that bank transaction. You need to enter some duplicate values instead of using real QR code, instead of using real net banking account, instead of using real card. Razorpay will give you a default number for card, default QR code, Gmail account or email account ID, so that you can test. So that's for the test cases. That's for some toy plugins. So when it comes to real business, we need to do your KYC. Once the KYC is done, you'll get your key. So you need that key to make this plugin work. So enough with the intro. Let's jump into the code. So let me just deactivate the plugin so that it doesn't conflict with our current plugin. So deactivate. The first thing that you have to do is you have to get into your plugin folder. My plugin folder, I have created a folder called jobs, where you will find contents, WP contents and plugins. Now here you need to create a folder. So I'm going to use VS Code. Let's open the VS Code and click on new folder, create a new folder, and I'm just going to name it as charity. So you need a PHP file. I'm going to name the PHP file same as the folder name, charity.php. The first and foremost thing, let's create a shortcode. To create shortcode, we need HTML. So if you see, this shortcode displays two things. One is this filtered input field, and then we have a donate button. So these are the two HTML that we have to create. So let's do that. So before that, we need to give some information about this plugin on the first line. Let's do that. We are going to name the plugin as UIMonk charity, and the donation, and this is some version number. So this is a bare minimum requirement to make your plugin show up on this page. And you see UIMonk charity. Now let's create the code for shortcode. You just need to dump the HTML, that's it. And since we are using Bootstrap, we need to link a Bootstrap file. You know how to link Bootstrap file to a plugin. We are going to enqueue it. So let's first enqueue it, then let's create a shortcode. So here we have a function that has enqueue Bootstrap CSS, enqueue Bootstrap JS, and we have a custom style. We need a custom style sheet, so for that I have enqueued that as well. Now we are not getting deep into each parameter because this is episode number 70, but still, just to give you a bare minimum idea, here you are passing the CDN, and this is the Bootstrap, this is the handler for the plugin. So its goal is to give, like how we have CSS ID, this plugin will have a unique ID for this particular CSS. So same way, this is a unique ID for this plugin, so that we can use our CDN. It doesn't conflict with the other plugins CDN. Again, this is array. Array is required. This is a place for the dependency. Our JS is not dependent on anyone, so we are passing the empty, and this is the place where we want to store where we want to load the JavaScript, whether it should load on header, whether it should load on footer. So that's the reason why we are giving true or false. And finally, we are passing the location of the plugin. So until WP content, let me just show you. If you press Ctrl U, and to get the path till here, you will find, you can see, I'm just looking for, you can see localhost jobs, this is the domain, and then we have WP content, and then we have plugins. Till here I want the URL, so I use this code, and then I would be creating a new folder called assets. Inside assets I will be using style.css. So create a new folder inside charity called assets, and inside assets I need a new file called style.css. Cool. Now we need to add a hook. Now we need to add a hook, and that hook is enq script, and when this hook will run, our function will get called. That's why I have linked it. And this is how we add a css and custom css and bootstrap CDN to your WordPress plugin. And then let's add a shortcode. Adding shortcode is very similar to this. And now you'll find the static HTML. You see, this is the HTML for the filter. We have filter, input type filter, and we have a button, and then we have a place for the money to show up. Based on the slider, the money would get manipulated. And then we have a bootstrap pop-up, where again we have 3 input field and 1 button: name, phone, email, and button. And this is a static HTML which we are placing inside a function, and that function will convert your HTML code into a shortcode using this function. So this is a WordPress function called add_shortcode, and this is the shortcode. We can use this in our not this way, it should be a square bracket. We can use it wherever with the help of widget, WordPress widget, or shortcode widget is also available. You can drag HTML widget and place this shortcode. So this is actually your shortcode. You have to use it into the square bracket, and that's it. And since I have already added this shortcode, and I think I have not, let me just refresh this page. We have not activated the plugin. So before activation, this is how it's going to look like. So this is the shortcode which I have said, shortcode. And let's just activate our plugin so that our HTML would get rendered. I'll refresh this, and now you have your HTML. Now what happened? When I click on this donate now, I want a pop-up to open. Along with that, so this would be only possible when we have our JS with us. So we need a JS so that we can click on a button and the button will trigger a pop-up. So let's create a JS file. Just after we have enqueued the style sheet, we need to enqueue the script. So this is the path for the script tag, and I'm saying that I have a dependency of jQuery. First load jQuery, then run my script. So let's create a new file on the asset called script.js, script.js. Now I'm saying that I'm creating inside asset script.js, and I need a jQuery dependency. Now what we need? We need to add a listener. So when I click on it, a pop-up should open up. Already there would be a pop-up because based on the Bootstrap, you can see we might have already triggered a model. So you can see in this button we have already triggered. When I click on it, I want the model to open up, and the model ID is given over here. So when it gets matched, when you click on the button, this model will open up. Now you have the model open. Now when I click on proceed to pay, what should happen? Definitely we will be using AJAX. When I click on the pay button, proceed to pay button, what happens is I need to fetch the full name, the phone number, the email address, and the amount. So once I click on it, we need a pop-up to open up, that is the Razorpay pop-up. For that we need to append, again we need to enqueue the script for Razorpay. Let's do that. So just how we have enqueued our script, we need to enqueue the Razorpay JS. So you see a unique ID again, the Razorpay URL, difference in nothing, and it loads on the footer. That's the true. That's why we have added true. Now what should happen? When I click on proceed to pay, a Razorpay pop-up will open up. It will accept. It will ask for some information, and I would be passing those information in the name of option. So in the option, it would expect something like, what is the name of this submission, which I am going to give it as donation. And second thing, it will ask for how much amount that need to be paid, the second thing. And the third thing is what should happen when the payment is successful. So these three things are important. So the third thing is what should happen when the payment is successful. When the payment is successful, I need to run an AJAX, and that AJAX will simply store the information, which is these three values, into my custom post type. So let's do that. We need to create an option, which is an object. Once the object is created, I need to send that object to a Razorpay. Again, Razorpay is an object. We need to create a Razorpay object. We need to pass our object as a parameter. I know it sounds confusing. Let me just clarify it with the help of code. First and foremost thing, when I drag, I want this input field to have that value. So let's do that. So when there is an input change, that input change will be displayed in the amount, and I'm storing it into a variable called amount. So that's very straightforward. That doesn't really much focus on it. Now let's create, when someone clicks on a button, when someone clicks on the pay now button, I need to fetch these values and store it into a variable. And that's obvious, because once the Razorpay payment is successful, I want to store these values, and if there is an error, it will show you don't have to worry about this, and if you need, you can work on it, but it's just a validation part. Then, as I said, we need object. So we need a Razorpay key. So in the enqueue function which we have created, we need to create two more variables. One is the AJAX URL, and the second one is Razorpay key. Razorpay key. Now these two has to be created. I'll show you once you understand this line of code. Now, as I said, we need to create the Razorpay object, and we need to pass this option as an argument, and then Razorpay will open the pop-up. Since we have used the Razorpay JS, it will take care of the pop-up. Razorpay pop-up will open, and it will accept what is the key. As I said, we need a Razorpay key, and what is the amount which we will be fetching when we drag the filter input field, and what is the currency. It's Indian currency, and the name of this application, I'm making it as donation, and this is the success function. What happens when the function is success, when the payment is successful. Once the payment is successful, we know how we deal with form input field. The same way I'm going to use it. Just to give you a recap, forget all the Razorpay part, let's just focus on the AJAX. Now, when someone clicks on the Pay Now button, we need to fetch all the input field, which is these three values along with the input field. That's what I have done. Once these input fields are set, we need to create a action attribute. So this action attribute is only for the WordPress. This action value will help you to identify which is the hook that is responsible for getting these values and storing it into a custom post type. I hope I have made it clear. If that doesn't make sense, just rewatch this section and you'll better understand. Now, this hook is responsible. We'll link this action attribute with a hook in the charity.php. Once these two are linked, so that function will be responsible for manipulating these text and storing it into the custom post type. And once the value is stored, you will get the alert message. So coming back to the Razorpay, now we need to set two variables. One is the AJAX URL, and number two is the Razorpay key. In the enqueue script, let's do that. Now you see we have used localized script, so I can simply write admin hyphen ajax.php over here in the URL part. In normal PHP, that's how we do. Whichever file is responsible for manipulating this input field, submitted input field, we need to have that URL over here. Why WordPress is doing this? Instead of using admin hyphen ajax.php directly over here, why it uses this value first and then this value first? Now you need to find what is this value. So you can see sdp hyphen ajax. So sdp hyphen ajax is over here. We need to link sdp hyphen underscore ajax dot this URL. So that's how I have triggered first value, second value. So you see first value, second value. The same way for the keyword, for the key, you will find it's over here. So this is first value. You see these two are common, and then the second value. The first value and the second value. You need to pass the actual key over here for security purpose. I am not displaying it over here. So why it is required? So usually what happens is WordPress would be installed inside a folder also. Let's say we are running a Monstack application. We have a Monstack folder, and inside that we have only one section for WordPress. So what we do is we have a Monstack folder. Inside Monstack folder we will have one folder dedicated for WordPress. So to make this WordPress understand that it is actually into a subfolder of a Monstack folder, Mon framework, we are using this keyword. This is the key and this is the value. If that doesn't make sense, ChatGPT will give you a better idea of what I really meant. So just to make WordPress understand that there are possibilities of your WordPress folder being into a subfolder of some other, let's say, framework. Even though you might have a Laravel application, inside Laravel application you want a WordPress to be inside. So in that case is also in that case, to make your WordPress understand you are actually into a subfolder, we are making this kind of modification. Now we have passed the key, we have on submission. So this is enough to make your Razorpay work. So in the background, let me just check if I click on pay now, and whether do we actually need. It's not working. So I think we need to pass the original key. That's only when you will see the. Let's focus on the next step. Once I click on donate, once I click on pay, once it is submitted, once it is successful. So to make this successful, once the Razorpay sends the payment is delivered, we need to run an AJAX to store these values. Now let's talk about the action attribute. So now we need to create a hook. So let's create a hook, and now you will see in our action attribute, in our main plugin file, you see wp-ajax- the action attribute. Again you will see wp-ajax- no private underscore ajax, the action attribute. So we are linking this. As I said, we need to link the action attribute with a hook. So that's I have done, and that will trigger a function, and that function is responsible for manipulating these fields. So we are receiving these values with the help of post variable. You can see we have name, we have phone, we have email, we have account, and once the payment is successful, we'll receive the payment as well, payment ID as well. So you see the payment ID also. Once the response of Razorpay is successful, we will receive this ID, and this ID we will store it over here. Now once these input fields are fetched, we need to create a custom post type. Let's create a custom post type so that we can save these input field into a post type. So for that, let's create a custom post type. Creating custom post type is very easy. When the plugin is active, I want to create a post type called donation. Once the donation is set, I want the label to be donations and it's a singular name. Whether it's publicly accessible, no. Whether it should show in UI, yes. You need does you need the support for title, the edit description and the thumbnail? I just need title. And what should be the icon? So this will register a CPT when your plugin is activated. So I think we need to deactivate it and reactivate. Actually this should be your first line of code, but for better understanding I have just reordered the sequence so you understand it better. Now once your plugin is active, you should see the donation tab. So now your CPT is ready. When your CPT is ready, I have received some values from the form submission and I am storing it into the post type. The post type is donation and the title is, I want the name, also the amount to be displayed as a title and the post status to be published. Once these are published into the post type, I want the additional information of the post. Usually the additional information of any post is stored in post meta. So I'm going to use the post meta table to store the remaining values. So we have, as a post, I just used the name and the amount, and the additional information about the post should be stored into the table called post meta. I'm using the post meta update post meta function to store those values into the post meta table. Now since our post, the main post is active, it will give you a ID, and I'm using that ID to link with the post meta and you're going to store the value, the name value, the phone value, the email value, the amount and the payment ID. And once these are done, I'm giving a response. Once your data is manipulated, you have received the data, you have stored the data into the post table and the post meta table, and I'm giving the message saying that saved. Once I receive that message, AJAX will simply, once you receive something, I'm just going to say alert saying that donation saved and reload the page. The reason for reloading the page is you need to close a pop-up, and that's it. Your data will be stored successfully, and finally we want to display those values on the donation table. So as of now it is fetching from the previous plugin. Now we need to display these into the WP list table. As of now we have the title, the name and the amount. If I click on it, you will just have the access to title, because in the CPT you just said I just need only the support of title. That's why it's here. Now in this table I want to add additional information from the post meta. Let's do that. First we want to modify the column. So how are we going to do that? Now again you need to understand this hook. This is actually the custom hook. So why do I say it's custom hook? You'll see we want to modify this table. So this table is actually the post type donation. Now manage the donation custom post type table columns. So I want to manage this table column. So I'll be just passing the custom post type here, and I need the checkbox, the first value to be checkbox, the second value to be title, the third value to be amount, the fourth value to be phone, fifth value, sixth value. I want this modification. And then so this is just for the header. So on the header you will have this. So for the column data, so this is the column function, the column name, and this is column data. So you just need to focus on column data. So this is for this is for column and this is for column data. So again this is similar to how we have used AJAX. So over in the place of placeholder you just need to add the custom post type. So this is the custom post type, and then we have post custom column. Since R is a custom column, we have a post, we need to pass a post ID. It's actually the donation post ID, and then based on the column, if the column is amount, then display, get the information from the post meta. That's why we are passing post ID, because each post it has a ID that post meta will have. So one post ID in post table, there are multiple values on the post meta table. So one post ID from post and multiple post ID from the post meta. So get the value amount, phone, email and payment ID from the post meta table with the help of the primary key post ID of the donation. And that's how we modify the WP list table. Amount, phone, email. So you see amount, phone, email. If you want to set the amount to be right before payment, you just need to reorder it, and you see amount and payment ID. So that's how we create this plugin. To make this plugin work, you again need one thing, which is key, which I have made it this way. So this won't work. To make this work, I'll just replace this with the original key and show you the actual work. So let me just replace this. I have replaced it. Now let's try running the plugin again. Plugin, let's just deactivate and activate, or I think we don't need this. Let's try donating ₹1 again. This time let's just give a random name called Batman Pay, and yes, it's working. So you have to set your QR code. I have paid the amount. Now you see the reflection on the Razorpay confirming payment, and it will give you the response. And once it gives you the response, you have to close this, and the AJAX would run. AJAX has saved the information on the custom post type table, and it gives a donation successful alert. So now it reloads the page, and if I click on donation, you will find Batman has paid ₹1, and this is his information. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for listening.